We're talking expensive paper like we do every single week. Welcome, comic fam. Thanks for joining us today. How you guys doing?
We're doing great, and not just expensive paper. We're going to talk about everything encompassing with movies, characters, actors, some fun stuff on the show.
Yeah, we actually got a packed show for you today. Rob Liefeld spoke about his famous, the infamous Captain America physique that he drew, right?
That's a nice way to put it, yeah.
Yeah, we're also talking about Jason Momoa getting stuck in an elevator. I don't know how I missed this story. But before we get into that, we got to tell you about our sponsor that makes all of this possible. This show wouldn't be here without Key Collector Comics, the best comic book app that exists on the market.
If you're looking for an affordable way to support this show, subscribe to Key Collector Comics app. I mean, it's already going to pay for itself instantly because when you unlock those special features, because you already get a lot of cool stuff free, but that extra is going to put you over the top and give you that ability to do that comic hustle.
That's right. Specifically, categories that get unlocked of comic books that you need to know. I'm talking about the category 35-cent variants. There's a ton of books that go missed regularly by collectors and even the most seasoned of dealers. One of my favorite categories that I'm regularly scrolling through is optioned indie titles. This is going to enhance your collecting and put you in a position to make some money. It'll pay for itself. And if you want to try out a 1-week subscription, when you download it on the main page, you have the Comic Tom 101 icon. Click on that and put code TOM101 in to get a free week subscription. Let's jump into the show. Jason Momoa, Aquaman, found his... I mean, there's no fish, so he found his biggest weakness.
Yes, it's an elevator.
What happened?
So I'm not sure what happened, like why it stopped functioning, but we find Jason Momoa on his IG feed or story of shots and him and a group of people stuck literally in an elevator.
Elevator.
Cannibalism. Let's do it.
Fire department. Does anyone want to show up? Hey,
Yeah, that's what we're thinking.
get us out.
It's pretty funny.
It looked like all they had were energy drinks and like peanut M&Ms.
Yeah, they're just passing peanut M&Ms around.
And his friend like almost immediately starts talking about cannibalization and like how they're going to survive in this elevator. And it's just, it really, my mind immediately went to like a horror like / comedy movie, like about Jason Momoa and a bunch of his friends stuck in an
Hey,
elevator.
they did mention that Aquaman was supposed to be a horror movie, and they
Right.
tricked us all because it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, like, I used to manage apartment complex, and we had an elevator, and every once in a while people would get stuck.
What do you do?
Well, you can reset the elevator, all right? And so sometimes when you reset it, it just goes back to bottom and goes back to functioning.
Is it just like
Okay?
a free fall?
Yeah, is it
No.
should be.
But
Just
that
for
was-
fun, you know.
Yeah, it was a small apartment complex, so it wasn't like these big magnificent elevators, but these guys were having a great time in an elevator when they're trapped.
What would you do? Like if Jason Momoa's there, what would you talk about? You're like, all right, dude, that was a pretty good movie you're in. You talk
Yeah.
about Game of Thrones or you talk about Aquaman or you talk about both because you're stuck in there?
Because he's probably sick of talking about both of those things.
Well, how about HBO's new Seas, right?
I think you want to figure out which one of them has the most like meat in case it gets to that point. You know, you gotta take out Jason Momoa
Rations,
first.
that
It's like
Rations.
stop with the M&Ms, save the energy drinks. Like we could be here for years.
we can outnumber them right now.
That's right. That was our chance. This is why it'd be the best movie. I think that needs to happen.
All right, Aquaman 2. We got our script.
Forget Black Mana. Okay, it's about people in an elevator.
We didn't even talk about how he tried to escape out of like the roof and like
Oh,
have his
yeah.
actual
They're like-
superhero moment.
You know what I mean? Like, you want to
aftermath.
fucking, you know what I mean?
Look at the aftermath.
He's trying to get out, man. You know, he's trying to be like die hard, but this didn't work out. What a plan.
We tried.
They like removed the roof and there's like nothing above them. It's like solid concrete. They had a good time though.
Oh, they had a great time.
Let's kick it to the comments. Comic fam, who do you want to be stuck in an elevator with? Any superhero, actress, or actor? All right, let's jump into the next subject of the show. We got DC that is bringing together the community again. They've done this a lot over the last few decades. What's going on?
To tie in with the Year of the Villain storyline that they've been running all year over in DC Comics, they are putting out like a kind of vote for the best villain
That's right.
contest. It's not really a contest. It's like just an open poll, I guess, right? Like
There's going to be some type of voting that takes place.
Yeah, and this isn't the first time we've seen voting or publishers reaching out to their readership for some decision.
Yeah, we're going to be able to pick who is the villain of the year.
Lex Luthor's having a pretty awesome year right now. I'd say either him or maybe even
Batman
like
Who
Leviathan
Laughs?
has
Oh,
been
really?
pretty cool.
I was gonna
Batman
say-
Who Laughs also is an
That's
option.
my vote. That's my vote.
There's a
my
lot of
vote.
contenders. I'm actually kind of interested to see how this pans out.
I think my pick for DC's greatest villain is going to be Marvel. What do you guys think?
I was going to say maybe their own film division, but no, they're getting there. They're making strides.
And we're going to be talking about their film division soon, so stay
Ooh.
tuned and hit the subscribe button. We make a lot of comic book content. DC is bringing the community together so we can help decide the #1 villain of the year. And I'm stoked about this because DC has regularly brought the comic book community together to make influence happen on comic book storylines.
So Jim Starlin was writing for Batman in the 80s, and he wasn't a big fan of Robin.
Yeah, he really didn't like him.
You know, and then you used to have Dick Grayson, and then you had Jason Todd, and he was the new kid on the block, not really around for very long. Denny O'Neil, the editor for DC, decided to put it to a vote on whether Robin should survive or die in an issue. This is for Batman Death in the Family series.
Mignogna covers, by the way.
That's right. Okay, a guy can't draw shoulders to save his life. But
Oh, we're going to get into that too. Stay tuned, comic fam.
I kid. But they decided that Robin will not survive. I mean, they put it to the readership through a customer service number. You had to call a number and be like, yay or nay.
Kill him.
Isn't that awesome?
I vote for him to die.
Imagine all these little kids calling, yeah, I think you should kill the character off.
Yeah, it's kind of dark. Actually, I haven't really thought about it too deeply, but yeah, all these people are voting for the death of him, and it worked. Like, they killed the guy.
That's right. And that brings me to my favorite Marvel's attempt to get the community's involvement. I'm talking about the Marvel tryout book. So Jim Shooter, famous for piloting and like really pushing the black costume. A year after that happened for Spider-Man, he put out this comic book. It was an unfinished book that would encourage a number of writers, artists, letterers, and inkers to all try out for Marvel. And what I find intriguing is that just a short few years after when they announced the winners, a guy named Mark Bagley ended up winning the penciler column.
What the hell's a Mark Bagley?
Mark Bagley, man. Carnage. Ultimate Spider-Man.
Man, he did so much at Marvel, and it was because of this. How awesome would it be to see more community involvement in comic books?
They need to put one of these out right now. I kind of want to just like doodle in a comic book.
Do you remember what Donny Cates told us when we met him?
No? Why don't you tell me?
He said that he was just working at comic book shops and they kept getting closed down and he was out of work. And he went to school to write and he got picked up and he was surprised to see his stuff land so hard with the community. And now he's one of the top writers in the field.
Yeah, that's fascinating to see that it can happen to anybody. All you need is that chance and opportunity and to put yourself out there.
It also takes a really, really good idea.
We have an Image title, Undiscovered Country, getting option, and it's not even out yet.
How cool is that, man?
Right, so the buzz around it is pretty big, obviously. And this production company, New Republic, which sounds like a boy band, but it isn't, is got this story, and like I said, it's not out yet, but this is the gist of it. Okay, the United States closed off its borders, all right, and in a 30-year time frame, there was some type of pandemic, and in search of a cure, they go to the U.S. and try to find that cure. And in doing so, we kind of have like this other Image title, Manifest Destiny, with creatures and this new world of like monsters that have somehow appeared in this United States, right? And
crazy.
People are writing creatures. So it's fascinating to see where they're going to go and how they're going to make this pop on TV or film.
I pre-ordered it when I found out it was Scott Snyder. That's enough for me to get on board. Like, the premise sounds awesome, but when you find out it's one of my favorite writers on board, then I'm all over it. Also, I looked up New Republic Pictures, the studio that is behind this one, and they were behind the recent Rocket Man, like the Elton John movie that just came out. They put out Black Swan with Natalie Portman a while ago. The Black Mass with Johnny Depp playing Whitey Bulger. They got some interesting movies behind them. So this could be kind of cool to see. I'm interested.
I was at the retailer luncheon at San Diego Comic-Con when this was announced. I was standing in the back. I came in late. I'm getting my sandwich. I look to my left. I'm literally standing next to Scott Snyder.
Shut up.
About crap my pants.
I did not know this.
Yeah, I tried to get a quick little story shot, and I barely got him in the screen. I had people DMing me, who was that? But yeah, he was right there. And I'm thinking, man, what's he doing here? That's crazy. So I'm standing in the back, and then they announced Image Comics, and they always have their publishers come up there and, give their spiel about what's coming. And then they're like, all right, bringing up another writer that you're all going to know. And Scott Snyder comes on stage, and he talks about this issue, this comic book that he's putting together. And this is how he described it. It's like, just like you said, The borders have been closed off for 30 years. No one's heard from America in decades. But what he said that really got all of us excited was, as a writer, sometimes you have a gold nugget idea, something that you just know is so good that it's going to pop. And he was telling that to the retailers because he wanted everybody to not just buy the book, but to get excited because he knew that there was more legs to this story. And then just months later, boom, optioned.
Before it's even out.
It's crazy.
That's so weird. I'm so excited. I'm really, really excited for this comic.
I have the ash can. I got both copies. I kept them. I was asked by like 7 or 8 people at the show, from dealers and some friends that were there. They're like, yo, I'll give you $30 for it. I'll give you $50 for it. I'll give you $75 for it. And I'm like, no, I got to keep this, man. I got to hold on to it. That book actually saw a decline to like $30-$40 at one point. Option news, they're being listed for like $250.
Oof.
What?
And I got to tell you, I read it. It's really good. Okay. Something else that's really good that I am just so stoked about. 80 years of Batman.
That's 8 decades.
That's almost a century.
Yeah, you're right. Almost a century. Okay. And in 1939, Batman came out in Detective Comics 27. And 80 years later, he's going so freaking strong.
They're going to be flashing this light across the globe.
This is a big deal because they're going to be flashing the bat signal worldwide at these major cities. And this is going to happen on Saturday, September 21st. We have Tokyo, Australia, Berlin, Barcelona, London, Sao Paulo, New York, Montreal, and Mexico City before finally concluding in Los Angeles.
So cool, man. Batman means so much to a lot of people. What does Batman mean to you, Ryan?
Oh man, Batman's kind of like my gateway into comics in a way.
Right?
Like, I came in through the movies, and Batman was the only real movie or superhero movie that I was really in love with as a kid. So that was kind of, I went from the movie to the graphic novels in college. Actually, I didn't get into comics until way late.
I remember the moment my dad handed me Dark Knight Returns. He's like, "This is all you need." He just gave it to me. He's like, "You need to read this." I'm like, "What is it?" He's like, "Just read it." Batman and Superman fight at the end. Oh, who wins? Read it. That's all it took, man. And man, I went to bed in Robin pajamas like growing up. Like I had a cape and everything. And like Batman, it set me on that path to just enjoy superheroes and to get into such a cool community. I appreciate them, and I'm so stoked to see 80 years go by and to be enjoying them for decades to come.
You did Robin?
Oh yeah.
I had my brother and I dressed up as Batman and Robin, but I was Batman. Of
Oh
course.
my gosh, I want to see some pictures of that. I hope you can put that in the edit if you can.
There's photos. I'm sure I can find something.
Oh my gosh. And this guy is a huge Batman fan.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have anyone introduce Batman to me. Like, I didn't have a father figure to give me a Batman because I was the only one who into comics in my whole family. So for me, it was more organically discovering it. So when I eventually did, though, I mean, I don't know. It was exciting to see a hero who didn't have superpowers and used his wits, really, and yet could beat up anybody and defeat anyone.
Absolutely. And you also have some dope Batman keys, don't you?
I do. And we'll discuss that later end of the show, that the cameras are off and I can get into a cool book and really give you a backstory on us pushing the market in 2015 on a really big book.
Yeah, if you want to hear the guru talk about a Batman 1, you got to stay tuned to the after show, which is the audio portion only available on SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes, and Spotify. Another anniversary.
Oh, yes. We have the anniversary of the greatest jean commercial ever.
Yeah, Levi's commercial. 28 years this week. Rob Liefeld blessed us all.
Blessed is a very good word for it. Who knows where we would be as a society if this commercial had never been put out in the world.
We wouldn't be wearing blue jeans, my friend.
That's right.
This premiered prior to X-Force #1. So this is before his career really took off. Rob had just created the X-Force and New Mutants 100, and he applied to win a contest hosted by Levi's. And it was like hey, tell us what you do for work and we'll make a commercial. And he applied and he won. And to his surprise, when he got there to do this interview for the commercial, he was greeted by a very famous director.
Yeah, Spike Lee was the one directing this commercial. And look, this is a young Rob Liefeld, all right? He started young. He's young. I mean, it's all really fast and new for him. Okay, so he comes in this scenario where he's trying on clothing. He's not an actor, Okay, he's a comic artist.
Because of this anniversary, he actually went to his Facebook page and explained a little bit about what happened. I love that he did this. And he said upon entry, there's a couple women that were like giving him jeans to try on, and they were complaining that he had no ass. He's like, and I don't have an ass, but I was super embarrassed.
I'm just going to go home. That's what I would do.
Like, okay, I'm turning around.
I can't do this. What am I doing?
You're right. I'm leaving.
But he was struggling. He was struggling not just because of the pants, but he was struggling because Spike Lee wanted him to be a little bit more entertaining,
That's
right?
intimidating as all hell. If you walk in there and there's a famous movie director in there talking to you, like when you're just you're not an actor, like Jeff said, you're just a guy, and you've got like a famous director telling you what to do here. Ugh.
He ended up having to have like Rob just do a drawing. He had Rob draw a new character, and it was Spike Man. It's actually like he drew Spike Lee as a superhero with a camera on his head to film the wrongdoings of others. And then he also had him do like the final line that Levi's was, trying to get people excited about, which is the zipper on pants.
No, not even a zipper, a button fly. So it's a little more complicated.
The button fly, that's right.
But I want to share a quick story here because I know how Rob feels. When I was in college, my sister knew somebody, and a Nintendo needed a hand model for a Game Boy and a face to digitize on Game Boys. So I went in for this position through a hookup. All right. So the joke is in my family that I'm a hand model. Anyways,
World's greatest hand model, like J.P. Pruitt.
You're J.P. Pruitt, the world's greatest hand model.
it was so awkward being in front of a camera because I had to be animated, and all I stood there and froze was just a big smile like this. And they wanted more, and all I could do was smile.
with your hands.
So they didn't use my face, but they used my hand. So allegedly, any picture holding a Game Boy supposedly is my hand. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I was told.
That's interesting. I've never heard that story. I'm so glad you shared that.
Yes.
And something fun to round this whole thing out with Rob is that during the awards ceremony, he was there at this ceremony for Deadpool 2. And he actually got a chance to see Spike Lee, and they had a little bit of like a one-on-one. He was able to be like, "Yo, thank you," like look at where we are now. So I felt like because it came full circle, we had to bring it on camera today. And while we're on the Rob Liefeld conversation, I do have this Marvel Comics 1000 signed by Rob Liefeld, courtesy of Torpedo Comics. Thank you so much to Gabe, Steve, John. We do appreciate you over there. You're a great shop. Follow them on Instagram. We all do. And if you want to see some just really like that next level comic book store and how business is done, go follow Torpedo Comics on Instagram.
I know we've brought up Rob a lot, just because he's been lately in more of the media of it. So just to touch on one other thing is going to circle back on this little Twitter showdown that he had, which ended up with him having his infamous Captain America chesty busty pose, which he posted himself.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, this guy typically gets into these Twitter rants and he argues with a lot of people, and it hasn't been good for him. Typically, whenever I see him starting to go off on people, it's like, Rob, stop. Just
Doesn't
stop.
look good.
It doesn't look good. But he handled this thread very well. And the very first thing he said when people were giving him crap about his anatomy was, come on, just do it. Where's the Cap picture? Just post it. Like, he was egging them on. He's like, just post the picture. Google it. Just, where's the picture? Like, don't tweet it. Post the picture. And no one was doing it. So at the end, he actually acknowledged this piece of art that has been ridiculed for decades.
Yeah, you know what he did here is in that scene in Eminem when he's just going one-on-one in that battle and he lays it all out, all his faults, all his things, so he can't get bagged on. This is exactly what Rob did. Rob's like, yes, this, and this happened. This is who I am. This is what I am. Boom. Now what? Mic drop. Got nothing.
Remember when you try to faux shame me? I drew this. I drew Cap tits. This is amazing.
I remember I was driving home last year and I saw a seagull sitting on the side of the freeway and he had his chest puffed out like that, and I got a quick picture of it.
Heck, remember the poster, the picture you were standing next to a poster? I drew it on your chest as well.
Yep.
I'm like, but you know what? It's funny. You know what? And I'm excited to see Rob start to like kind of make a comeback here.
It is like a legendary image too in its own right. I mean, not maybe for the right reasons, but it is infamous.
Well, I appreciate Rob for doing this. If there's one request, let's get that Kickstarter funded. Because, if you want to protect your legacy and you really want to come back fully and be embraced by the comic book community, until that gets taken care of, it's going to be a struggle.
For a lot of people, it's a big deal. For me, it's like you have your legacy now. Just keep it clean, keep doing what you're doing, and just try not to put your foot in your mouth.
Oh man, don't be bringing up feet in this conversation.
Moving
man.
on, moving on.
moving on. Let's chat about a way the community can directly help support the show. We're talking about getting comic books directly from us. We have our comic book subscription service, the Mystery Mail Call. We package up 5 to 7 comic books and send them to you every single month. And one of those books is an exclusive comic book. And this month's Comic Tom exclusive is courtesy of Mad Cave. And I'm pretty excited because we picked out an homage to All-Star Comics number 8 for the new title, Show's End.
Yeah, I love a good old Golden Age cover swipe here. You got the cover swipe for the first appearance of Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I felt pretty good because we needed something a little bit like mysterious and supernatural because this is about a carnival, kind of like a freak show type of thing. And I had mentioned it to you and you're like, oh, easy, All-Star Comics 8.
I think that was the perfect cover for it because it was a team, and it's just like you said, dark and moody. It's the first appearance of Wonder Woman, so it's so memorable. And it turned out really well. And our Mystery Mail Call sold out last month. That's
right, it did. So reserve your box. Link is in the bio. Join the community. Let's chat about my recent mail call that I got, okay? Because this was not planned. This all happened in the last couple days. So I put an order in for this. This right here is the entire series of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. All right, I'm going through it because I had this idea. I want to go through Buffy and Angel at the same time. Because there's 5 seasons of Angel, and you have the full run of Buffy.
Isn't it a sequel?
No, they actually were playing at the same time because Angel and a couple characters went off to do their own show, and then it was like, this would happen, and then Buffy would happen, and they had some crossover events. And pretty soon, we have a crossover happening over at Boom Studios that we need to chat about right now.
Hellmouth, issue number 1, is going to be like the first crossover between Angel and Buffy since Boom Studios got the license.
That's right. And I'm super stoked about this. First off, if you're not reading Buffy right now, this is just a prime example of how you can put together a franchise that otherwise wouldn't be super popular. Buffy the Vampire Slayer is long over. And when Dark Horse took it over immediately after the season finale of the series, well, they continued it season after season. It was all canon. If you wanted to find out what happened to Buffy, well, you just had to read the comic book. And that went on year after year after year. But Boom got a hold of it. And rather than just continuing that canon, they've decided to revamp the title. It's all modern. And these characters, they look similar. They're still the same subject matter and supernatural, and it's still the same type of story. But it's different. The personalities are different. The characters are different. If you want to jump into Buffy, you're going to get a fresh take on a very respected series, and I cannot recommend it enough. This is one of the few titles that I'm reading alongside of Absolute Carnage and Hickman's House of X. And I have to also mention, because he's not on the list other than here, Donny Cates had something to say about it.
Say Donny Cates the second you said...
Okay, this is what happened. Someone tweeted at Donny Cates and said, yo, if there was no fallout, like you're not taking someone's job, because that's kind of the cop-out answer to the question of, if you can write any comic book, what would it be? And you know what? He didn't say Captain America. He didn't say Spawn. He didn't say Superman or Batman. He didn't say anything that would like bolster his career even further.
Yeah.
He said, whoever's writing Buffy. Cates is a Buffy fan.
That feels like a good question to kick to the comments too. Like, what series would you like to see Donny Cates take over?
Right?
I would like to see him do Green Lantern personally. I think that could be pretty cool, but I'm very biased.
I want to see him take something that is just low key, either under the radar, people aren't paying attention to.
Like Guardians, dude. He brought Guardians up into a whole new level.
Absolutely. I'm stoked about Buffy. Boom, get on it.
You know what time it is.
Viewer comments.
Brian Bennett. Jeff, I would agree that the vast majority of comics are for fun and not the highest level of reading. However, I would also say comics can also be highbrow literature. Comics like Gaiman's Sandman, A Contract with God, and the Pulitzer Prize-winning Mouse come to mind.
Heck yeah.
I would throw Watchmen in there personally too, but
V for Vendetta, anything Alan Moore's written.
That too.
Yeah, I can agree that there's definitely some highbrow reading, for sure.
Absolutely. Sandman's like a regular recommendation to people who aren't into comic books. It's always, you should probably just pick up Sandman.
All right, we got Bombastic Bag Man. Once again, great video.
Thank you.
I appreciate the comparison from GAG, from Golden Age Guru between sports jerseys / cosplay. That example made me think of rookie cards versus first appearance in comics, attending sporting events versus attending Comic-Con, watching sporting events for 2 hours versus watching superhero movies for 2 hours.
It's a good comparison.
Yeah,
Didn't even think about some of those things.
I certainly didn't, but it's almost like one-to-one comparison. Like there's pretty hardcore fandoms in the two communities.
We're talking about escapism. Anything that, brings you pleasure and like lets you check out a little bit and enjoy life in a way that like, puts out the other static, the other noise, and lets you just enjoy some time to yourself. I understand.
Yeah, it's good old wholesome just being a fan of something.
Yeah, everyone's into stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm notorious for hating on sports too, and I'm working very hard to curb that impulse of mine.
We appreciate the comments. Thank you so much.
Peter Wolf with a U. Tom grew up in the back of a comic book store. Child neglect.
I like that one.
That one was fun. We had some fun in the comments there. All three of us, right? Didn't we? We all got back at him on that one.
I like that you brought that one up. That's good.
That one's worth talking about.
Yeah, just to be fair, he wasn't like Oscar the Grouch in a trash can living back behind a dumpster.
No. I've explained this in the past, but we have a lot of new followers and new subscribers. So I'll give you a quick little rundown. My dad managed the store with the store owner. So he had the comic book shop at the front, Flight into Fantasy, it was the name of the shop. And then it was a store. And then on top of the store was an apartment. That's where the store owner lived. And then behind the store was another apartment. It's like a 3-bedroom. And that's where I lived with my dad for like 2 years. So I would wake up on Saturday morning, play my PlayStation 1, Resident Evil. I don't know what my dad was thinking. And then if I was ever bored, I'd grab my Magic cards, maybe my D&D profile pages, and I'd just walk through the kitchen door, through some beads, because my dad had...
Beads?
Yeah, he was
that's such a stereotype.
Yeah,
I could totally see your dad having the beads.
Oh, incense, Champa and all that. And I walk through, and there's just tables and people there. Oh, Tom's here. Who wants to play Magic? And that's what I did.
What a life.
That's what I did.
What a magical life you led.
Thanks for the comment.
Where's World? We need more CGC results videos. Love the one where you guys each revealed the grades. Been too long. I think the last was when Jeff was disappointed with the Showcase 36.5. Hope we get more. Thanks.
Why don't we fix that right now?
Boom.
Easy as that. Jeff, you brought a box.
I did bring a box.
Oh,
I
man.
just literally picked this up on the way here.
Yeah, we delayed the show a half hour. Sorry, Ryan, because he's got to get back. He's probably tired right now.
I'm always tired. It's okay.
Okay, what do we got?
There's so many slabs
I haven't
in
seen
here.
these yet. I haven't seen these, and I'm already excited. That's an ASM 14 right there.
Oh, man, I want to hold
Oh,
on.
you got a bunch of them. Okay, we got a... Oh, wow. Okay, let's bust through them.
All right.
Lightning
let's
round.
do these.
Let's do it. Show me.
my
Show me.
Oh,
What,
my
what are we
goodness.
showing?
All right. We're going to just talk about some grade results and whatnot. Okay?
Crown Comics number 7, 6.5.
Classic Matt Baker cover. Cool book. It was raw. Bought it maybe about 2 months ago. Had it pegged around 6570. It has a front cover stain, some other stuff. Came back as expected. Presents beautifully. Really excited about that book.
Matt Baker, man. He's the best. What do we got?
Another Matt Baker. Okay, Fighting Marines. Unfortunately, I missed the color touch on this. It came back 8.5 with some slight color touch. Might have to have that removed. But it's a pretty book. Osa Matt Baker, Canteen Kate. Cool book. Next, Startling Comics number 53. Cool alien cover, 6.0. Presents again really nice, about what I expected, just because it's got some funky things going on with it. Black Hawk 20. Classic cover. Bought an original owner collection of Blackhawks and modern comics, and this is one of the most sought after covers. Came back in 8.0, which is a really high grade for that book.
This is fun. Oh, man.
Yeah, check that out. That is amazing.
Hey,
Spider-Man.
I recognize this comic.
That's right.
I'm used to seeing a bunch of Sharpie all over it, but this one does not have any Sharpie on it.
This was not a love note or hate breakup copy. This is a 7.0.
Yeah, there's no Sharpie there.
Yeah, I pressed it. I could have pressed it better. I rushed the submission. I think it could go up to 7.5.
That was an
8.0 would
ASM
be crazy.
14.
Yeah,
Looking
ASM
good.
14.
There's another ASM 14 there?
Yeah, so this one was raw. This was a raw 5.045 copy. It had a detached top staple. It had an extra set of staples given to during production.
Ooh.
So it kind of caused issues, I think, of the staple to pop. Mikey Comics on Instagram, Mikey Halprin. We were at the show here in Chicago Wizard that just passed. And he's like, hey, I can help you there. And I was already going to do it. I was going to reattach that cover because there was enough meat there that you can loosen up the staple. At the show, literally.
This was attached?
That was attached to the top
Oh,
staple.
snap.
Loosens the staple.
Well done, Mikey.
Tucks the cover back in, pushes back the staple and cinches it.
And boom.
Boom. Fully attached cover again. 5.5. What is that? What's the page quality? White pages.
Nice.
Boom. This.
Oh, 2.5?
Yeah.
Damn, dude. I was there when he got this.
Yeah. Great comics number 3. Ugh, absolute classic. Came back 2.5 just as expected. Structurally, it's a beautiful book, but a lot of cover loss because things just got scraped off, maybe a tape pull or what.
I literally have never seen so many dealers just look over a table so quickly, and I never forget it. The lady who owned the Golden Age comics, was like 15 of them. She put them on the table, and you literally went like, you didn't even skip a beat, man. You went right for this book and grabbed it, and it was in your hand. And as you're looking at it, there was like 5 to 10 dealers hovering around you, just like, is he gonna put it down? Is he gonna put it down? Is he gonna put it down?
Golden ticket scenario, like when he found the last
For
golden
real,
ticket. Everyone
it was just like that. 2.5, dude. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. I'm
golden
excited about that
ticket.
book.
It just clicked in my head. Gold,
It's good. Golden ticket. Get it?
This.
Oh man.
Giant,
8-0?
Yeah, Giant Size X-Men 1.
That's a
okay.
money beat right
8-0.
there.
This was a 6.5 PGX off-white.
Oh,
Okay.
snap.
Now it's an 8.0 white. I pressed it myself. This was actually raw when I got it with the label in the back of the bag and board. And I think it was probably more of a 5.5 by the time I got it because it wasn't kept very well. But just defects you can take out. And it came out great. 8.0 white. I'm super stoked about it.
Well done, man. This is a good mail call. Excited to see those. Are you putting those on your site?
Yeah, some of these are definitely going to go on the site for sure. And EliteComicSource.com. Check it out.
Very good. All right, let's now talk about Doctor Strange.
Oh man, guys, here comes the alarm because we are going to spoil a character. We don't generally spoil too much.
But man, it's sometimes when comics get us so excited, we got to bring it on the mic. I haven't been reading Doctor Strange. I'll be honest. I haven't read any of these issues, but now I'm about to put this to my pull list.
Yeah, I just read the synopsis on this, and it's actually pretty cool. And we're going to touch on Doctor Strange number 19.
What's going on?
So in this book, Doctor Strange comes into a situation where he has to save the life of a child, but he cannot use magic to do it because of the situation is so grave that apparently his magic isn't going to work out. And he has to surgically operate on this child to save his life.
Now, I remind you, he lost his ability to use his hands in that way. It's kind of what set him up to be Doctor Strange.
Yeah, it was because of that tribulation in his life that he looked for another way and he found the magic.
Right.
So he astral projects to this special magical library where he finds a spell. All right. And like spells in the universe or comics or whatever, there's going to be a cost to using magic. So he literally has the risk of losing his hands completely.
He almost does.
Yeah. I mean, you see this image and we're going to show it here. And
his hands are like, let's describe it for our audio listeners. They're like, there's a moment where his hands start to disappear and there's word bubbles of him going, no, no, no.
Like in Back to the Future?
Oh, yeah.
Like his hand just disappears?
Yeah, a little bit worse, though, because it's happening slower.
Exactly. And there's no Biff in this one. And like he realizes his hands do come back.
Yeah, he gets him back.
Right. And now he has the use of his hands and he saves this child's life. All right. But like I mentioned earlier, there's a cost to using magic. So coming in December, there's going to be a new Doctor Strange, Surgeon Supreme. So we're going to now follow this story of Doctor Strange being a surgeon again and a magician and see what that cost is.
I like this. I like that this is a superhero story, but it's kind of in reverse a little bit. Typically, it's about the responsibility given to a character and as they are uplifted to this superhero role. And now he is actually getting back the thing.
It's like downgrading almost. He's
Yeah.
like, so what do you do when you go back to how you were before you had powers? Yeah. And when we talked about this, we picked this as like a topic for discussion today. I wasn't that excited, I'm going to be honest. I thought we were talking about like one event that happens in one issue, but the fact that this leads into a whole new number one, a whole new series, I'm probably going to jump on to number one here. I've kind of always wanted to read Doctor Strange, but it's so hard to crack into.
Yeah, we read some Doctor Strange in our Infinity Gauntlet read through.
Yes.
And those were some of the most difficult comics to get through.
Dude, we had to prep for that so hard.
Like, what do we talk about?
Where do you even begin?
Okay, first off, they go to Egypt now.
Right? Time travel. Real quick. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited for this. I'm adding this to my poll list. I mean, it's a new number 1, and this is a good time to jump on if any of this interests you.
James Gunn and J.J. Abrams. They're both looking like they're going to be very heavily involved in the DC cinematic universe moving forward.
Game changer.
Yes, J.J. Abrams has signed a $500 million deal with Warner Brothers for some sort of multimedia project that hasn't really officially been clarified. Technically, it could be some other Warner Brothers property, but it seems like it's probably going to be DC.
We're talking video games, television, and the DC cinematic universe. This is huge. They know over at DC that they've been missing the mark over and over again. And now that J.J. Abrams is finishing up Star Wars, you know he's getting his hands into superheroes.
Yeah, and this plus this whole thing with his son and the Spider-Man comic, it seems like he's kind of dipping his toes into this whole universe. I for one would very much like to see what he can do with DC, because he did help create Lost. You know,
Always with the freaking Dharma Initiative,
sorry,
man.
I can't hate on the Liefeld and the Donny Cates stuff without mentioning Lost.
You want to know what else he did? He did Fringe.
He did do Fringe.
Fringe is awesome, man.
That show was pretty cool. I got to finish that.
But what I'm excited about is what's the rumor is that James Gunn is involved as well. And it sounds like James Gunn is going to be kind of manning the villain aspect of all of this.
As he should be.
Oh, yes.
You know, he's doing the Suicide Squad stuff. The Brightburn was really cool earlier this year. That was kind of influenced. You know, he had a hand in that.
Right.
I'd be very interested to see like what his kind of flavor would look like on the darker side of the DC universe, because I imagine JJ would be doing the more high profile, like Superman, Justice League kind of stuff.
Nowhere but up after Steppenwolf. Say that much.
Well, you know, you mentioned Steppenwolf, but really, how many other characters can we bring up in this conversation? Comic book collectors have all but thrown out so many specs of DC villains and heroes, and that's just all going to come right back in. Right now, this is like an all-time low. When was the last time you've heard people specking on Doomsday? Let's talk about Bane. Let's talk about Killer Croc. Suicide Squad, we thought that was done. That was finished. How could they do anything after that movie? But now James Gunn has his name next to that title, and everyone's like, oh, okay, here's my money. So let's keep an eye out on DC Comics, and you should be speccing on DC villains right now, because it's going to be at an all-time low for quite some time.
People are reselling themselves, and we're kind of getting this blank slate feel, and people are trying to push away what they saw and open to this new concept and visuals of characters by somebody else.
Absolutely.
It's cool that they're keeping what works. They're keeping Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. They're keeping Jason Momoa as Aquaman.
He got out of the elevator, so they're going to keep him.
Yes.
He's safe.
Thank God.
He survived.
I'm excited to see that they're keeping what works, and they're scrapping what didn't work.
I'm also excited about J.J. Abrams because you kind of alluded to it, and we're going to wind out our show. But keep in mind, the show doesn't end here. It's going to continue on our audio platforms. We're talking about the Guru's Batman collection. We also have some news about Marvel Plus, but stuff that is not being talked about. Everyone's focused on the new shows. We have some more spec talk to discuss, and we'll see you in the after show. But man, I am so stoked about this Spider-Man comic that J.J. Abrams is putting out, and I wasn't going to pick it up until now.
Kicking myself for skipping this one.
I can't believe I didn't put it on my poll list.
They announced it, a few months ago, and it's Spider-Man #1. And my first thought was like, oh, pass.
Yeah, what's going on with this book?
This book is about, should we spoil it? It's been out for a few days now.
Yeah, it's been out, and who is involved?
This book was solicited as a Mary Jane Spider-Man comic. And now it turns out that it's not the Spider-Man that we are familiar with. It's not Peter Parker. It's not, anything that takes place right now in the current Marvel universe. This is a future storyline about their son, about Mary Jane and Peter Parker's son, Benji.
That's right, Benji Parker. And he first appeared in Spider-Girl issue number 59. And this is another reason why you need to have the Key Collector app and have the full version, because the spec deck is available for all of us to use. And this was the first notification that went out. I mean, Bleeding Cool picked it up after the Key Collector notification went out. This book, first appearance of Benji Parker, went from like $30 to $40. It's pushing to over 80 right now.
That implies that maybe this book is going to have some legs, that maybe this character might actually, accomplish some cool stuff in the future. I'm really, like I said, I'm kicking myself for skipping this one. I'm gonna try to hunt it down, but
I like that it's a new Peter Parker.
yeah, it's something new and fresh. Because again, there's like already 3 or 4 different Spider-Man titles on the market right now, and I can only handle one, really, honestly, at the time. So this looks like it's different enough where I don't feel bad for double dipping on Spider-Man. If that makes sense.
They straight up were like keeping this reveal out of the public eye for months. No one knew that this was going to be the lead. I like this surprise. It's getting people to go to the LCS, their LCS, and dang, it's got me hunting for this book.
We just discussed a fresh take on Doctor Strange, so I'm on board for a fresh take on Spider-Man. You have Benji Parker, the product of Mary Jane and Peter Parker. I mean, I don't know how you can really go wrong, or at least, take a chance at it and see what develops.
I'm also kind of excited to see if JJ's son is as cool of a storyteller as his dad is. That's an exciting aspect of this storyline too that I'm kind of overlooking personally.
Hey, Joe Hill did it.
Right? Exactly.
Let's do it again. All right. And we also want to know from the community. Let us know in the comment section what you think about this show, what you thought about these subjects. And we have a giveaway today. I want to remind you, you can enter to win this courtesy of Torpedo Comics. I'm going to throw a Mill Geek exclusive of Walking Dead #1 in the mix here. Comment down below, like and subscribe. We have some giveaways. Who won the Wonder Woman print by John Boy?
Robello.
Thank you, R. Robello. And then we also have an Avengers 66, the first appearance of Adamantium. I threw in a reprint on the back, and we're also going to send you the official Avengers Index so you can look it up and get well versed in all things Avengers.
Oh, wait, there's more.
Oh, who's winning that?
That's going to Nate Dogg.
Ooh, Nate Dogg. We had Jay-Z comment last week. Now we have Nate Dogg commenting.
This is random.
There you go. Random
This is
stuff.
totally random.
R.I.P. Nate Dogg. Love me some Nate Dogg. Oh, and then we have Tank Girl.
Can't forget Tank Girl. It's going to Mike Hignut.
Thank you, comic fan. We do appreciate your time today. As always,
Stick around for our after show, and always geek responsibly.
We will see you next Sunday.
enough said.